Relationship drama that is so toxic, it's unforgivable. Starting off, my wife cheated on me with a sugar daddy. We are starting off strong. I really need support right now. My wife cheated on me and lied to my face until eventually I found physical evidence. Photos, websites, messages, etc. At this point, she could no longer continue making up stories and told me her version of events, which I still find hard to believe, considering she lied to me in my face and swore it up and down that nothing was going on, and even got angry at me for questioning it. Yeah, cheaters do that. It's a really annoying thing that they all do. How dare you accuse me of that? And then you find the evidence and it's like, oh!
Fancy that.
The reason for my suspicion was because she went out one night after work and said that she would be home at 8 p.m. The last message I received was at 3:45, and after that I heard nothing until I was eventually blocked on everything. She came home at 9 p.m. and of course I asked what had happened and why she blocked me. She gave me a false story that she'd gone out with one of her female friends, which I knew, and that she told my wife to block me to see if I cared. That's still weird behavior, even if that was true. Obviously, this was all a made-up story considering the events after this. In reality, she had a sugar baby account for 3 months, which I saw with my own eyes and read messages. She met up with this man on that same night, and she told me they didn't have intimacy, but did things such as making out, holding hands, and hugging, all while wearing her ring and him being married. I am literally torn to pieces and I do not know what to do at this point. I seriously tried my best to be a good husband, and while I wasn't perfect, I expected us to be able to have open communication as we have had in the past. I really don't know where to go from here. My chest feels tight and it's hard to breathe, and no matter what I do, this event keeps crowding my mind. I can't make it stop no matter how hard I try. It hurts so much and I have cried so much. Whenever these thoughts enter my mind, I have a panic attack. I want this feeling to go away. You guys were also right. I found out they indeed did have sex. I was assuming that, I'm not gonna lie. And she again lied about it being just kissing. She also did plan on keeping it behind my back and continuing this situation. Your intuition amazes me. Broke my heart all over again, but I suspected it anyways, but I just couldn't accept it. But deep down, I knew the comments were correct. I already scheduled an STD screening and will move on from there. As much as it hurt me, I let her go, and it's a void that I know will take time to heal. I did have signs at the start of the relationship. She told me she had cam girl tendencies and had cheated on her ex. But she told me she changed. So in a way, I blame myself. We got an update. But while we're reading the update, I want to know what y'all are thinking of the situation. What are you doing if you find out your partner is cheating on you with a sugar mama or sugar daddy? Update. I chose to forgive her. I was not prepared for that switch up. I feel less bad now. Because you're choosing to forgive her. Partly because I was not ready to be alone, and using someone as a rebound was not an option for me. So I stayed. She fed me pretty lies, etc. Eventually, she did it again. I'm shocked. I'm so surprised. I would have never guessed. With the same man. But this time, she disappeared for an entire week. I tried calling her, looking for her, and she turned off her phone, gave it to the man, and kept the phone that he had given her. Eventually, she returned and told me everything that had happened. She says she chose to go all the way with him because she didn't think I would forgive her after what she had already done. This logic baffled me. What about not doing it in the first place? Anyways, I was torn apart, took to drinking to numb my emotions, and didn't want to face the reality of what I had to do next, which was actually leave her once and for all. I waited and waited, just pretending everything was fine and trying to be as normal as possible with her, but it was eating me inside. Then once again, she disappeared on the weekend and did it all over again. At this point, I was done. I was numb. I couldn't really feel anything, but of course it hurt. At this point, I decided to just quit drinking and focus on my career, self-esteem, and confidence. And I left her on the back burner, moved out, and just focused on me. After that entire mess, she contacts me and says how sorry she is, how guilty she feels. I tell her what she did was extremely selfish. She never once thought about me or us. I told her we had enough money. Anything that man gave her was miscellaneous. She broke down saying she was so sorry. For a moment, I felt sad and pitiful, but then I would remember what she did and how heartless and cold it was. It took a while to recover from this, but once I started focusing on myself, it got better. Once she saw how my efforts for her were diminishing and I was achieving various goals, she started diving headfirst for me. But there's no recovering from that relationship. You know, I really want to believe you. I really do. But I feel like she might change her mind one day. I really do. I would not be surprised if you went back and gave her another chance. Oh my God, as the day goes on, I'm getting more sick. Every 2 weeks. This is brutal. Worst immune system. Put me in the world record book. Worst immune system, yet healthiest person ever. I tried so hard. Next up, found my wife cheating on me and the youngest 4-year-old daughter is not mine. Well, that is a knife to the heart. Me and my wife, our high school sweethearts, got together in 2004 and have been married since 2005. We share 4 kids. In the past several years, my wife has not been too intimate with me, not being as lovable with me like she used to. I brought that up in earlier discussions with her and claims that she never received the same love that she was giving me, and so she just stopped. That was understandable, so I started to show her more love and attention, but she just pushed me away. We would have sex maybe 1 to 2 times per month, not as much as I wanted, but some. 2 weeks ago, I was watching TV in the living room and I went to bed around 11 p.m. I noticed that my wife's phone was still on, so I grabbed it to turn it off. That is when I saw the text from her lover. I started scrolling up and it got even worse. They were waking up to each other and falling asleep to each other through text and phone calls for as far back as I can read. I woke her up and confronted her about it, and she came clean, saying it's been going on for 6 months, but she has doubts about my 4-year-old daughter being mine now. The math is not quite mathing in the situation. She said the first time it happened with him was around that time. Like a one-night stand maybe. At this point, I'm just broken, lost, confused, and angry. I did not show her any of that anger. I've been really calm. She wants to fix this somehow and begged me for a chance. I'm still living with her. Nobody but my sister and my mom know about this. I did a DNA test and that 4-year-old child isn't mine. Like, imagine going to bed one night and that all of this comes out before falling asleep on a random Tuesday. My wife has been really intimate with me now. I told her I would try and work it out. Y'all are way more forgiving than I am. But this is really killing me. I'm mainly doing this for my children and trying to keep my family together, and I still love her, but she's my one and only, and I've never been with another woman before. She's had several before we started dating, and it took me a while to accept that it was the past, but now this really killed me. I need that warmth of a woman that she's giving to me right now, and I'm really scared for the future without her. What should I do? Well, you've already decided, but to each their own. But at this point in my life, I could never forgive someone like that. And that's fine. If you've forgiven a cheater and y'all are still together happily, good for you. Me, I would not be able to heal from that fully. I just wouldn't. Trying to reconcile with the small lies won't stop. My husband had an affair lasting over a year with a mutual friend, not in the friend group, before we had a child together and before we were married. I found out shortly after the wedding. It was a primarily long-distance emotional affair, but of course there are physical aspects involved too. They had sex once, unprotected, plus some other physical touch. D-Day was 2 months ago. He's mostly taking the right actions. He is a very good father to our child. He cut off all contact with AP immediately. AP stands for affair partner, is what I've learned. He signed himself up for therapy and arranged marriage counseling for us too. He also had admitted to a corn addiction. Corn meaning adult videos, but we can't say the word on here. And has since stopped using any corn. He canceled all of his social media and has changed jobs and cut contact with anyone who knew and didn't tell me. I haven't asked him to do any of this. He's doing it on his own accord. He seems genuinely remorseful for his cheating, and I did believe that he wants to change. The problem for me is that he's still lying about details. So something new will come to light about this affair, and he will own up to it and promise there's nothing else he's hiding, and then within a day or two something new will slip out and he will admit to lying and that he's sorry and promise to be honest moving forward. Babe, yeah, he's cheated. He was never being honest. There's no honesty there in this whole relationship. What do you mean? And then something else will surface. Rinse and repeat. I know 2 months is fresh, but I'm losing hope that he's capable of honesty. And if he can lie now when he should be fighting for me and rebuilding trust to save our family, when will he be honest? The things he's lying about have been relatively small, I guess, although they feel huge to me. Like what he said to her, the timeline of the affair, and details like holding hands, etc., or saying he doesn't remember some detail. I'm too close to this and I need some outside perspective. I want to make this work, but I'm losing hope and falling out of love with him. Should small lies like this continue to be grounds to call it quits? His therapist says he's a sex addict, but I'm wondering if he's actually a compulsive liar. I mean, the reason you would be calling it quits is not for the small lies. It's for the cheating. It's for the fact he had sex with another woman. Perfect time, because I'm getting heated over here. I need to cool down with some water on hydration station. Cheers. Drink your water. Found out my wife's affair partner reached out and she answered. My wife had a brief emotional affair about 6 months ago with a coworker. There was probably 2 weeks of inappropriate texting before she told him to stop. After that, he would occasionally pester her at work, but if my wife was being honest with me, there was nothing friendly or flirtatious and no further texting. I struggled with it for months, but then about 3 months ago, she left her job and would no longer cross paths with him. This relieved a lot of anxiety for me, and I have not felt the need to bring it up to my wife since. After the affair, my wife gave me access to her phone and computer, and I would occasionally check for messages to ease my mind. I haven't checked since she left her job, but today I looked, not expecting to find anything. I found about a dozen messages back and forth with a number that I believe is a new one he made. The messages are pretty innocent. Her asking him how work was and telling him about a vacation we just took. I scoured the phone records for other suspicious numbers, and I think this was the only contact. Though it seems odd that she seems to know who she was talking to without him saying, and the number was not saved as a contact. That ain't looking too good. I'm at a loss here because I finally feel past this, and outside the fact that she was just talking to him about promising not to, there was nothing bad in the messages. I deeply believe what I saw is not enough to make me divorce my wife and tear apart our family. Because honestly, I think we have a good marriage outside of this incident. We went to couples counseling and the therapist made us feel like we have a very solid relationship and did not need her support. That said, I don't know why my wife can just not ignore when he reaches out. And I don't know how to discuss this with my wife without reversing what I thought was 3 to 6 month progress. I'm really just venting, but if anyone has advice, I'd love to hear it. Do you have to let some foot faults go? Do I have to just accept that she won't respond if he reaches out and either live with it or divorce her? There was some flirting and you feel you can forgive that. It's the disrespect that she chose to answer that would be the most painful. She could have easily just ignored that. And there's a little suspicion there with the contact and she knew who it was. Like, I don't know, maybe they have been chatting. What would you guys do? Finding out about my husband's emotional cheating when doing the bills. Feeling lost and devastated. This really is like a scene from a movie, just that title. My husband, 30 male, and I, 30 female, have been together for 8 years and married for 4 of those years. No kids, but we share a house in my name and 5 pets together. This week I was taking care of some monthly bills and stumbled across about $100 worth of, I can't say, I don't know if I can say that, OF content. On social media, you're not allowed to say it. It gets flagged for some reason. Over the past month, I was completely blindsided. My husband and I have been in couples counseling for a year now to help us build a healthier relationship after some mental health challenges that I had struggled with. I've worked hard in weekly therapy, medication changes, and daily lifestyle changes to be strong and stable in our relationship. I thought everything had been going great, we were getting along well, and while things were not perfect, going through some financial challenges, I felt that we were having the best communication that we've had in months. Well, clearly his finances aren't struggling because he's spending his on OF. Well, I found the charges and called to confront him. He basically said there was a woman he always sees on Instagram that he was curious about, and so he went to her OF. They sexted back and forth, and he paid for content across 3 separate occasions. Separate from this, I know he has also been modding some of his favorite video games to add in sex and pornography features. I'm completely torn up. My husband stayed with me when I was in a real bad mental health crisis. He has been there for me. He is truly my best friend. At the same time, I feel completely betrayed. The night before I found the charges, we had a really good conversation about the positive trajectory of our relationship. Then I found out that exact day he had paid for the OF content. This is not the first time this happened either. In the first year of our relationship, I caught him sexting and sending photos back and forth with multiple women. Yeah, that's cheating. We went to counseling back then as well, and the issue had resolved, or I thought it had. I don't know how to begin recovering or if I should look into a divorce attorney. The night I found the charges, I went to stay at an Airbnb and I've been there since. Definitely feeling lonely and could use any advice or support. Edit to add. Tomorrow, he and I are scheduled to meet up somewhere public to talk. I'm not even sure what to say, honestly. I mean, the patterns of his behavior are there and they have been there. You trusted him after the first situation, forgave him, moved forward, and here we are again. It's really up to you if you want to do that all over again, with the risk that it could happen again, because he's proven that. Found pics in his email in the sent out box. Wow. I, female 27, have been with my husband, male 36, for 8 to 9 years. Married with a kid for 2 years. Throughout our relationship, I've caught him cheating too many times to count. I've forgiven him every time, especially after having a kid. Once, 2 years ago, I knew his phone password and I snooped in it and found D-pics of himself messaging on a Text Now app, sending messages to women about meeting up. I forgave him and forgot about it. How do you forgive someone who's not actually sorry though? If they keep doing it, they're not actually sorry. So are you ignoring it? I do not know his phone password as he's changed it and never told me it again. Today, he's staying overnight at his mom's house. He left his laptop in his email and I had a random feeling to just look. I didn't think I'd find anything as I had a belief, most likely just ignoring that he's probably still cheating and that he hasn't been cheating anymore. I found brand new D-pics taken right after the time he made it to his mom's house after work. Oh, he wasted no time. Right now I'm sitting here shaking, as I always do after finding something from him. I'm just like, I want a divorce now. I've been saying it for years at this point. How do I even start a divorce? I'm scared of confronting him and telling him I want the divorce. Yeah, girl, you can't live like that. You don't want to stay in that and that just be your life, constantly worrying and just accepting that type of behavior. Know your worth, baby. Caught for the last time. I, 31 female, have caught my soon-to-be ex-husband, 32 male, for the last time. Just when everything felt right, there were no feelings of insecurity, I let my guard down. We had just come back to each other 4 years ago after infidelity that separated us for 2.5 years. We made another life. I really thought this was different. It all came crashing down about 2 weeks ago when I began getting cryptic messages. Never making sense, but being directed specifically by name. I asked for proof. Let me see what you have on him. Nothing ever came. He said, let's change our numbers, which I was hesitant to, but there was no proof why I should continue being harassed. Come Wednesday morning, I get a message through my only form of social media, again saying they will show me the proof and all they want is something of theirs back. Screenshot and sent to my husband. He admits it's an ex-coworker from a job he had 2 years ago. He had been hiding all the possessions she gave him in his game room closet. 2 years ago, when we decided to dedicate ourselves to each other 4 years ago. At that moment, I realized he was never going to change. I told him I needed this to end. I needed him and I to just be co-parents to our 2 children. In a span of 3 hours, he rushes home from work, locks himself in our bathroom, and threatens to end his life, saying that he can't live without me. I managed to call for help, and he has been at his father's house since. I never thought I would see anything like that before. I'm in and out of anger for the most part. How can you say you can't live without me, but do not care about losing me? As the father of my 2 children, I wish him nothing but the best. As my ex-partner, I wish him the heartache and embarrassment I have come to feel at his hands. God, it's such a risk forgiving someone who cheated on you. I get it. I get hoping for it's different this time. I understand. Caught her the 3rd time. Need advice to prevent myself from being lied to. Married for 15 years, me 37 and my wife 35 with a kid. I knew from our dating days that my wife was outgoing and I was reserved. I have a limited circle of friends and she always connected with men more than women, and even here women's friends are kind of tomboyish. She never had a girly group of friends. We have seen our fair share of up and downs in the marriage, and I noticed my wife has a habit of getting into emotional affairs with guys from her workplace. Well, how did we allow that to become a habit? The first time I spotted it was 3 years into our marriage, and a work colleague was trying to woo my wife. Unfortunately, we worked in the same office during the early days of our careers, and she was also discussing personal stuff and spending time with him during breaks. Once I caught her lying when they left on his bike from our office parking lot, and she told me that evening that she was out with her female bestie. Might have been more than emotional cheating, just saying. I saw a shredded dress store bill in our bedroom trash can, which I put together and found it was from the same date they both went out. When I confronted her, she got dramatic and accused me of not trusting her, and then the run-of-the-mill excuse, he's a good friend. The second one was 2 years ago after our kid was born. She was recovering from postpartum depression and wanted to start working again. I referred her to a position in my office and she started going around with her boss this time. I found her lovey-dovey text on her phone with the boss and confronted her. She is again down to the same excuses, now accusing me of spying and evading her privacy. I caught her off guard, sitting with her boss enjoying coffee in our office cafeteria, and I just asked her like 10 minutes ago if she wanted to join me for lunch, and she said that she was busy. You could be having lunch with your husband every day and you're not? She almost spilled her coffee watching me walk past. Bro, why are you tolerating that? The third incident happened last year and I'm stuck in limbo for almost 6 months. I noticed her drifting away, lying about money. She was losing money on stock trading and eating out at expensive restaurants when I was laid off from work and was in the process of setting up my business. We agreed to watch our wallets to make sure we spend within our comfort zone. This time her signs, like visibly hiding her phone while texting, avoiding my touch, and constantly peeking for her phone notifications when we were out for morning jogs. Wanting to spend time away from me, pretending to work from her laptop while she was just on her phone. I slipped an AirTag in her office bag one day and found she was at a fancy restaurant on the outskirts of our city, known for its scenic views, and one would generally go there for a date or a memorial celebration. She had bunked the office and was out for 4 to 5 hours. Kept lying to me when I confronted her later, even when I was dropping hints. Well, it's a habit because you're allowing it at this point. I talked to her calmly this time without losing my cool. I was focused on the reason behind this constant hiding and lying when I've never stopped her from doing what she wants, whom she meets, etc. She gives me vague reasons and gets emotional or angry if I indicate she is prone to falling for guys. She says she has gone out with her female bestie at work this time. I'd given up on the hope that she will mend her ways, but I want to stay in this marriage for my kid. What about yourself, though? I am unable to figure out how to convey my boundaries to her. How do I prevent myself from getting hurt? I'm unable to process the joy of finding stability in my business, unable to feel happy for small positives in my life. I am focused on our future and not in a negative space completely, but I did identify that I need to remove my wife from the center of all things in terms of emotional support or as a friend. I mean, is that even a marriage at that point? I am not hurting now, but I feel she is not giving me the closure I seek in at least accepting that she seeks something better that she's not finding with me. I don't know. I feel like I'm not looking past all those things to begin with. But let me know your guys' thoughts. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.